What is going on, guys? Today we are installing a set of side steps from YitaMotor. They sent these to me for install and review. Just a disclaimer there. I'm gonna unbox them quick. Now, I've already unboxed these. You see there's some foam there, and the steps themselves are in bubble wrap. Okay, so there's your general idea of what it looks like. Now, I did notice on mine, and I think this may be just a packaging issue, or maybe mine is a demo product, but you can see mine, it's not a huge deal because it's on the bottom, but there is some scuffs in the black paint, so I am going to let them know that they may want to tidy up the packaging just a little bit. I think possibly it was caused by the brackets during shipping. I'm sure the box got tossed around, and the brackets are just in this plastic. You can see here it's kind of sticking out, so I'm sure this probably was scratching up against it, but I'm sure they will correct that issue once I let them know about this. So I'm going to finish unboxing here, make sure we have all the hardware, and get started. The only tools that are required for this are going to be a 1/2-inch socket or wrench with a ratchet, and a 13 mil socket or wrench with a ratchet, or a ratchet wrench. I'm going to be using my Milwaukee electric ratchet, and I recommend using deep wells if you're going to be using sockets, because the studs are about 1.5 inches long, and a shallow socket would probably bottom out. Now these steps are going on a 2019 new DT body style Ram 1500 crew cab. They do also make them for the new body style quad cabs as well. I will post both down in the video description if you want to purchase these online. As you see, these ones are kind of a textured matte black finish, aluminum construction with rivets holding the grip bosses, which that's going to be nice, especially in the winter time. You're going to get a lot of traction on that, as opposed to some of the more smooth ones you may slip on. So these are advertised as 6 inches wide and being rust resistant. You can see it says YitaMotor on the step itself. They also feature aluminum alloy end caps and pre-installed, these bolts come out, but pre-installed sliding nut assemblies, so you don't have to worry about losing any hardware there in the channel. And just for those of you wondering, the true measurement here is about 1.75 inches in height, just under 2 inches. And they measure a full 6.25. If you measure at the cap here, it's about 6.5. So they are a true 6-inch wide, and they're not ridiculously thick. So, you know, it keeps a nice aggressive look of the truck without lowering them too much, but they're still usable because they stick out and have the textured grips. Now, I know some of you bigger guys have been asking me on some of my previous side step install videos the weight ratings. These ones are rated for 350 pounds, so that should cover the majority of you. You should be happy with that. They're not supposed to bend, and with the in-channel sliding nuts and the supplied brackets, should be a pretty easy install here. Another nice thing is that all 6 mounting brackets are the same, so you don't have to mess around with what's left side, what's right side. So in addition to the 6 mounting brackets and the 2 side steps themselves, you should have this hardware bag with all the washers, lock washers, and flange nuts. Alright, so hopefully you can see this clearly here. This is a very important step before you put the brackets on if you've never had side steps installed on your truck before. I didn't have problems, but I know a lot of people have. These studs underneath the truck, there's 3 groups of them. This is the middle, and then towards the front of the truck there's another group of 3 for another bracket, and towards the back there's another group. So 1 group of 3 for each bracket. From the factory, there's a lot of paint on these threads and studs. If you do not clean those up with like a wire wheel, put a wire wheel on a drill and clean the paint off the threads, or use at least a wire wheel by hand, you will snap these studs if you try to force the nut on over the paint. Do not do that. You'll be in for a bad time. So luckily for me, I don't have to do that part because I've had a couple sets of side steps on already. Therefore, I'm good to go ahead and install my brackets. Again, they're all the same. So what I'm going to do is, you see these are designed for a couple different kinds of trucks. So I go off the bottom plate here, and there's only 2 holes. So you line up the 2 holes here on this bottom piece with these 2 bottom studs, and you can't mess it up then. Goes just like that, and you see the top stud comes through up there. Now what we're going to do is take and put a normal flat washer on, followed by a lock washer, and then a flange nut. We're just going to start these by hand. We're not going to fully tighten them down yet. We're just going to kind of leave everything loose in case we need to wiggle stuff around to get the steps on. And I do like that on top of the flange nuts, this kit came with lock washers and flat washers. A lot of kits actually don't come with flat washers, and the flange nut is very close to the same diameter as the holes in the bracket, and it just, I feel much better about it having the washer on there. So we're going to repeat all the same steps for the other brackets until you get all 6 of them hung just like this by hand, and then we can go ahead and get our running boards into position. So now we're going to use our 12mm to remove these bolts here for the side steps. There's going to be a bolt and a washer. Don't lose them. Now you don't have to worry about your little square nuts in here and the channels falling out, because the end caps will keep them from falling out. What I'm going to do now is kind of use the bolts to move one group, one set, so one square nut per channel. One here, one here. I'm going to slide it all the way to one end because that's going to be for the back bracket. Then I'm going to slide this pair to the middle, and this set I'm going to kind of leave over this direction. We can eyeball it for now and adjust them when we get it on the truck. Now, you don't want to tip this up on end because then your nuts that you just adjusted are going to slide. So what you want to do is just flip it over like this. And now you can take and install it. Also, I forgot to mention, if you did not get instructions with your side steps, they are available on their website and on their store on Amazon. I'll try to link it down in the description too if I can. And speaking of the directions, it doesn't necessarily state which way this should go on. I'm going to position it so that it says YitaMotor as you're looking at the truck. So just like this is going to be the driver's side one. It's going to go on right now. Now I recommend having somebody help you do this part just so you don't accidentally scratch the paint on the truck. It is a rather large piece, even though it's not that heavy, and you can easily bump into something. Unfortunately, I'm alone right now, but I've done this enough times where I'm not too concerned. So you can go ahead and just kind of set it in place carefully. And there we get kind of an idea how it's going to go. Obviously, per your preferences, you can adjust the step forward and back as you see fit. I kind of like it right about there. What I would do is just measure probably like from your tire or your mud flap to the side step and make sure you set it at the same distance on both sides. All right, now for the bolts down here that hold the step on, they do come with a washer, but you could put a little drop of Loctite on there if you really wanted to, since there's no lock washer for these. So I'm going to slide the nuts down the channel using the bolt. You can use a screwdriver or something, just anything that can get up in the channel, and slide them over. And you're going to get them lined up with the bracket. If you have to, you can also slide the running board front to back slowly and carefully. Obviously, you don't want to knock it off the brackets and have it fall on you when you're underneath it. Just kind of get them started loosely like that. Alternatively, the outer holes are notched on these brackets, so you could, in theory, start the outermost bolts on the sliding nuts and then slide them onto the brackets, but this way is working fairly well for me. So there we go. I actually have all of them installed now on the driver's side step. And as you can see, they're all loose enough to where I can still slide this. So I'm going to adjust this. You can set the depth, how far they stick out or how far they don't stick out. So I'm going to set that, get it adjusted how I like it. Same with front to back. And then we're going to come underneath here and use our 12 millimeter. And the instructions say to torque these to 15 foot-pounds. I think you could get away with a little bit more than that, but I definitely wouldn't go over probably 20, 25 foot-pounds. Same with up here. Those brackets are going to be the same torque, 15 foot-pounds. You're probably good up to 20, 25. Now the directions actually say to tighten the running board bolts before tightening the bracket bolt nuts, but I'm actually going to do it opposite, because in order for me to set how far out I want the running board to be, I want the brackets to be bolted up how they're going to sit. Otherwise you're going to adjust how far your running boards stick out, and then when you tighten these brackets, the running board is going to swing up and it's going to throw your adjustment off. So I'm actually going to do these first, just a matter of preference. The bracket mounting nuts are going to be the 13 millimeter. Okay, so this is the running board shoved all the way in. That is the most tucked in you can get it to the truck. Show you real quick here for those that are interested. This is over the back door sill. And the front. And then that is the maximum you can have it stick out. Pretty far. Now, I like them the farthest position outward they can go. There's only one problem with that. I have to go in just a tiny bit. As you can see here, you could put them like this, but this is just another preference thing. As I mentioned earlier, this slot right here is open on the end. Right there, you can see it's open. And so I don't want to have this bolt and washer hanging halfway off the bracket. So what I'm going to do is just push it in so that the edge of the washer for the bolt is flush with the edge of the bracket here. I'm going to set the front, middle, and back one like that, and then I'm going to torque these down to the 15 foot-pounds. And there we go. That's the first look we have of it completely installed. They go with the full cab length, which I like. Get a shot from the back here. I'll do a follow-up tomorrow morning when it's light outside, so you guys can get a better view of all this stuff. And it's lighter out, but here's a general idea. I'll come to the back of the truck, and here's a profile down the side. As you can see, it doesn't really stick out much past the tires, so you don't have to worry about any sort of clearance or anything. But again, 6 inches wide, so you're gonna get a nice foothold and still plenty of ground clearance. Let's give it the first test. I'm about 210 pounds, so I'm going to set this on the ground and we'll see how much the steps move when I'm on it. I'll just stand on it and then I'll also bounce on it. I'll try to get a more level position here. So this is the back. Just standing on it. A little bit of flex, but I mean, honestly, you're not going to find a running board that doesn't flex. The body can only be so stout, so even if the brackets and the running board themselves are made out of 1-inch solid steel, the body is going to flex. So keep that in mind. And then here's the front. Just standing on it and bouncing. Also keep in mind that the truck is rocking, so a lot of the movement you're seeing is truck suspension roll and body roll. it's not all flex in the side step. But as you can see, it held up to the abuse of me bouncing on it, and I'll get more long-term results as I use these. So now, of course, we're going to repeat the same steps on the passenger side. All right, guys, so here we are on the passenger side, and I kind of have the bottom 12 mil bolts just a little finger tight. They're not completely snugged up yet. And I have the running board pulled outwards so that the shoulder of the washer is flush with the opening of the bracket slots, just like on the driver's side. That means that the running board is fairly stiff, but I can still move it around a bit. So I measured the driver's side, how I ended up having that, and from here to the surface of the drive tire in the back here is right around 19 inches on the driver's side. So I went ahead and I did the same here, just going from my end cap, and it's right about 19 as it meets the tire. So this is not provided in the directions. This is just a preference, how I'm setting mine. They're pretty long running boards, so you get a couple inches of leeway front to back. My main thing here is I just wanted to make sure that both of them were the same, because I have OCD and it must be symmetrical. And there we go. Both sides are complete. Alright guys, here it is. The side steps in the daylight, fully installed. As you see, they're a little dirty because I used them to get in and out of the truck, but there we have it. So if this video helped you out, make sure you hit that like button, comment with any questions, subscribe for more videos, follow me on all my socials, and as always, thanks for watching. Have a great day.